Ladies and gentlemen, we gather in a world where the human heart is endlessly restless, driven by the pursuit of wealth, recognition, comfort, and belonging. Desire has become the invisible architect of our lives, shaping what we chase, what we fear, and even who we believe ourselves to be. Yet within this restless current, there exists a figure who stands apart, the man who needs nothing. He is not swayed by promises, not bound by fear, not enslaved by the endless hunger that governs society. To many, he is a mystery, to some, he is a threat. Tonight, we journey into the depths of this truth, why the man who needs nothing embodies a power greater than the world itself. From the moment we take our first breath, we are drawn into a world already steeped in desire. The infant's cry is a longing for warmth, for nourishment, for safety. These first impulses are innocent, natural, and necessary for survival. But as we grow, the flame of desire is fed not only by need, but by the structures of the world around us. Parents, teachers, and society at large introduce us to the idea that satisfaction is something external, something to be chased, earned, or consumed. Desire is no longer only about survival. It becomes the axis upon which culture spins. Entire civilizations have been built upon this restless longing. Markets thrive because people crave possession. Governments maintain order by promising security. Religions gather followers by awakening the yearning for salvation or transcendence. Education itself is designed to stir in us the hunger for achievement, for status, for belonging to a higher order of minds. And so, from every angle, we are trained to believe that life is not complete as it is, that there is always something just beyond reach that must be obtained. Desire, then, becomes a kind of invisible architecture of human life. It shapes behavior, not through chains of iron, but through chains of longing. The man who wants recognition bends his will to authority. The woman who wants security accepts structures that may restrict her freedom. The child who longs for love learns to wear masks that will earn approval. At every turn, desire directs the performance of our existence, urging us to move in ways that maintain the great machinery of society. And yet, this system is not purely oppressive. Desire also inspires creation. Artists paint because they yearn to express. Inventors build because they long to overcome limits. Lovers reach for each other because of an aching need for union. Desire is both the prison and the fire, both the tether and the spark. The paradox lies in how it is wielded. When desire belongs to the individual, it can be a source of vitality, of movement, of vision. But when desire is harnessed by society, it becomes a tool of control, a current that carries us not toward inner freedom, but toward predictable patterns of consumption and conformity. The human psyche, deep within, knows this tension. Buried in the unconscious is a whisper that questions the endless chase. Why, it asks, does no attainment truly satisfy? Why is every goal, once reached, followed by another and another still? This quiet awareness unsettles the soul, because it suggests that desire itself may be an endless circle rather than a path toward fulfillment. But such thoughts are often silenced, for they threaten the very order upon which collective life rests. Look closely at the rituals of daily existence, and you will see the hand of desire everywhere. People wake not because they have rested enough, but because they must earn to maintain their possessions. They dress not merely to cover the body, but to signal belonging or superiority. They speak words not to communicate truth, but to secure admiration or acceptance. Even leisure is shaped by desire, for the idea of rest is packaged and sold as an escape one must purchase. In this way, desire infiltrates even the most intimate corners of existence, quietly dictating what we value and how we measure ourselves. It is important to see how desire creates hierarchy. Those who command resources are not only powerful because they possess, but because they control the desires of others. A merchant thrives because people hunger for his goods. A leader stands because people yearn for protection. An entertainer rises because people crave distraction from their emptiness. And so, desire not only builds society, but sustains its structures, ensuring that people remain bound by the illusion that fulfillment lies just outside their grasp. At its core, desire is the great engine that turns the wheel of the collective. Without it, the markets collapse, the governments lose their sway, and the old narratives crumble. But with it, humanity moves in unison, chasing shadows that seem always one step ahead. Desire is both the architect and the jailer, the spark that builds temples and the chain that binds us to them. The man who needs nothing is beyond control. In a world where every individual is bound by threads of desire, he is the one who slips through the net. He walks among others, yet does not move according to the same laws. Where society whispers promises of wealth, pleasure, recognition, or safety, he hears them, but they fall silent against the fortress of his being. He cannot be bought, for his worth does not rest in possessions. He cannot be threatened, for his essence is not tied to fear. He cannot be manipulated, for there is no hidden craving in him that can be tugged like a string. Most men can be swayed with frightening ease. Offer them status, and they will betray their values. Offer them comfort, and they will give up their freedom. Offer them love, and they will compromise their authenticity. Their choices are not their own, but the echoes of their hunger. They believe they act freely, but in truth they are guided by invisible chains wrapped tightly around their desires. It is precisely here that the man who needs nothing is terrifying to the structures that govern human life. For when there is no hook to grab hold of, no secret longing to exploit, he becomes a force that cannot be contained. This man has traveled inward, into the silent chambers of the psyche, where fear and craving are born. He has stood face to face with the shadow of his own emptiness and has not recoiled. Where others distract themselves with possessions or accolades to fill the void, he has chosen to enter it and endure its darkness. Emerging from it, he finds that the void does not destroy him, but frees him. For what can the world offer to a man who has already learned to sit with emptiness? What can the world threaten to take away from a man who has discovered that nothing is essential to his being? His very existence is unsettling. Others cannot understand him because their lives are measured by needs and wants. They fear rejection, but he does not. They fear loss, but he does not. They fear being unseen, but he does not. This distance makes him appear untouchable, even cold. Yet his detachment is not the absence of life, but the presence of a deeper vitality that flows from within. He belongs to himself fully, and because of this, no one else can lay claim to him. The structures of power tremble in the presence of such a man. Leaders, authorities, systems of influence, all rely on the fact that people can be swayed. Without the carrot and the stick, control loses its grip. But how can one tempt a man who does not hunger for reward? How can one frighten him with punishment if he is not bound by attachment? He becomes, in this way, a quiet rebellion made flesh. He does not need to raise his voice or oppose openly, for his independence itself is an act of defiance. In every age, such figures have appeared. Some are mystics who retreat into solitude. Others are warriors who fight without fear because they have already surrendered their lives. Some are teachers who walk away from comfort to embrace the path of truth. They are few, for the path to needing nothing is steep and merciless. It requires stripping away every false identity, every mask constructed to secure love, every layer of security built against mortality. Yet once stripped bare, what remains is indestructible. Those who encounter such a man often feel both awe and discomfort. His eyes do not plead, his words do not flatter, his presence does not seek approval. To stand before him is to confront the possibility of a different way of being, one that does not cling, one that cannot be harnessed. Many resist this vision, for it threatens the foundation of their own lives. Yet some, in his presence, begin to feel the stirring of their own buried freedom. They sense that if one man can live without chains, perhaps they too are not as bound as they once believed. Thus, the man who needs nothing moves silently through the world, beyond the reach of control. He is a mystery, a disturbance, a reminder that the deepest power does not come from what one holds, but from what one can release. He carries within him a freedom that no system can touch, no fear can erode, and no desire can corrupt. He embodies ultimate freedom, not the shallow freedom that is often spoken of in political speeches or inscribed on monuments, but a freedom that comes from the very core of being. Most people believe freedom is the ability to choose, to pursue desires without restriction, to move where they will, and to possess what they want. But this is merely a surface illusion, for as long as choice is governed by desire, the individual is not free but tethered. The man who embodies ultimate freedom is one who has severed the cord that ties his soul to craving. He no longer seeks liberation through external circumstances. Instead, he discovers it within, where no hand can bind him and no chain can reach. This freedom is unsettling, for it is radical in its essence. It means he can stand in the face of loss and remain whole. The death of fortune does not diminish him, the absence of recognition does not wound him, the collapse of comfort does not terrify him. What others call catastrophe, he calls change. What others call suffering, he meets as reality. His identity is not entangled with the shifting tides of existence, and so he remains unshaken. He is free not because he controls the world, but because the world no longer controls him. Such freedom gives rise to a presence that others can feel even in silence. He does not demand attention, yet attention is drawn to him. He does not seek authority, yet others sense a weight in his words. He does not strive for influence, yet his very detachment has influence of its own. People sense something dangerous and beautiful in him, the danger of a soul that cannot be bribed, and the beauty of a spirit that cannot be enslaved. He has stepped outside of the economy of fear and desire in which nearly everyone else is trapped, and this makes him incomprehensible to those who still live within it. To embody ultimate freedom is to embody wholeness. He has met his shadow and made peace with it. He does not deny the darker currents of his psyche, but neither is he ruled by them. He has walked into the wilderness of his own unconscious and discovered there both the abyss and the light. Because of this, he no longer projects his fears onto the world, nor seeks to fill his inner void with possessions or recognition. His freedom is not naive. It is born from struggle, from dissent, from the courage to face emptiness without turning away. Such a man does not rebel in the conventional sense. He does not shout against authority or clamor for revolution, because he understands that true bondage is not outside but within. His rebellion is quieter and far more dangerous. It is the rebellion of refusing to be ruled by the forces that govern others. He moves as he wills, not as he is pushed. He chooses not from compulsion, but from clarity. He does not conform to roles simply because they are demanded, nor does he rebel for the sake of rebellion. He acts from the still point of freedom that exists beyond both obedience and defiance. This inner liberty manifests in how he relates to others. He does not cling, nor does he push away. He does not seek to dominate, nor does he allow himself to be dominated. His relationships are not based on need but on presence. He can walk alongside another without fear of losing himself, and he can stand alone without feeling diminished. To many, this balance is impossible, but for him it is natural, for he is not bound by the fear of solitude, nor intoxicated by the promise of attachment. The freedom he embodies is also a form of fearlessness. Not recklessness, but a deep calm in the face of uncertainty. He knows that death is inevitable, that loss is unavoidable, that change is constant. And because he accepts these truths rather than denying them, he is not ruled by them. What terrifies others liberates him. Death is not an enemy but a horizon, loss not a punishment but a teacher, uncertainty not chaos but the essence of life itself. He is free because he has surrendered the illusion of control and yet discovered mastery of himself. To embody ultimate freedom is to stand as a living paradox, untouchable yet deeply present, detached yet profoundly alive, separate from the world's illusions yet fully engaged with existence. He is not owned by anything, and for this reason, he belongs to everything. His spirit carries a weight that no external authority can bestow, and no external force can take away. In him, freedom is no longer a word, nor an ideal, but a living reality, breathing through every action, every silence, every step. The man who needs nothing is more than an individual. He is a mirror, a living reminder of what lies beyond desire and illusion. His freedom cannot be bought, his spirit cannot be subdued, and his presence unmasks the fragile foundations upon which society is built. To some, he is dangerous; to others, he is the essence of liberation. In him we see that the ultimate strength does not come from what we gather, but from what we can release. And so, as we leave tonight with these reflections, remember, true power is not in the hands of the one who possesses everything, but in the soul of the one who needs nothing at all.